It exhibited a push away from the sun by some mysterious force because there was no evaporation, no cometary tail around it, no dust, no gas. So the question was, what is pushing it?
What if NASA just uncovered the most terrifying evidence of alien technology? And it's been hiding in plain sight. A massive object, 7 miles wide, drifting from another star system, was fed into Google's most advanced AI. The computer didn't just analyze it, it flagged something impossible. This isn't just a comet. Its path is too perfect, too deliberate, almost as if it was designed. And what happens next will blow your mind. Meet 3I Atlas. On the surface, it may look like just another cosmic wanderer, a frozen body of ice and rock drifting through the void. But the truth is far stranger. This object is no ordinary comet. It's the third confirmed interstellar visitor to ever enter our solar system, and it's by far the most puzzling. Unlike anything we've seen before, Atlas stretches nearly 7 miles across, making it a true giant compared to the tiny fragments we usually detect from deep space. For perspective, it's more than 10 times the size of ʻOumuamua and Borisov combined, the only two confirmed interstellar travelers before it. And here's where the mystery deepens. NASA's observations revealed something extraordinary. The object isn't just massive, it's carrying pristine water ice and complex organic molecules, the very same ingredients that may have sparked life on Earth. This means Atlas is more than just a rock. It's a time capsule, older than our planet, carrying clues from a different solar system born billions of years ago. But the real puzzle isn't just what Atlas is made of, it's how it moves. Its looping trajectory through our solar system doesn't behave like a natural wanderer. In fact, scientists quickly noticed that its orbit aligned disturbingly close to Earth's own path around the Sun. The probability of such alignment happening naturally, just 0.2%. Practically impossible. Even stranger, at its closest approach, Atlas seems to vanish into the glare of the Sun, perfectly hidden from Earth's telescopes, almost as if it's avoiding being watched. So what exactly is Atlas? A relic from a distant star frozen in time, or something far more deliberate, a traveler with a purpose? The first confirmed sighting of 3I Atlas came from the Vera C. Rubin Observatory in Chile, an enormous telescope designed to map the entire night sky with incredible detail. It wasn't long before astronomers realized that what they were looking at was no ordinary comet. From the very beginning, Atlas behaved strangely. Instead of following a random, chaotic path like most visitors from interstellar space, its trajectory seemed too clean, too deliberate. In fact, its orbit lined up with Earth's journey around the Sun, something that has only a 0.2% chance of occurring naturally. And the oddities didn't stop there. As scientists projected its course, they realized that Atlas would perform a series of close passes by major planets. In October of 2025, it will skim just 18 million miles from Mars. A few months later, in March of 2026, it will pass within 33 million miles of Jupiter's clouds. These distances may sound vast, but in cosmic terms, they're incredibly tight flybys. The chances of this sequence happening by accident, astronomically low. But here's the strangest twist. When Atlas makes its closest approach to the Sun, October 29, 2025, Earth will be positioned on the opposite side of our star. That means, just as the object gets closest and most interesting, it will be swallowed by the Sun's glare, making it nearly invisible to our best telescopes. A coincidence? Maybe. But to some scientists, it feels more like a maneuver, as though the object has chosen its path to avoid our gaze at the most critical moment. And that's when NASA decided to do something unprecedented. They fed terabytes of observational data about Atlas into Google's most advanced artificial intelligence. The goal was simple. Let the machine test millions of scenarios, searching for a natural explanation. What the AI found next would leave scientists stunned. To understand just how extraordinary 3I Atlas is, we need to look back at the only two other interstellar objects we've ever seen. The first was ʻOumuamua, discovered in 2017 by astronomers in Hawaii. At first, it looked like a faint streak of light racing across the sky. But as the data poured in, scientists realized they were witnessing something unprecedented. ʻOumuamua wasn't shaped like a typical comet or asteroid. Instead, it appeared elongated, like a cigar, or maybe even a flat pancake tumbling end over end. Even stranger, as it slingshotted past the sun, it accelerated, but not because of gravity. Normally, comets gain speed from jets of gas escaping as they heat up. Yet telescopes found no gas, no dust, no tail, nothing. It was moving without any visible means of propulsion. For some, this looked less like a space rock and more like technology, a solar sail drifting between the stars. Then came 2I Borisov in 2019. Unlike ʻOumuamua, Borisov looked exactly like what astronomers expected, a classic comet, complete with a bright tail of gas and dust. It reassured scientists that interstellar visitors could behave normally. But Borisov was still tiny, just a fraction of a mile wide. And now, Atlas. While ʻOumuamua stretched only about 0.2 miles and Borisov about 0.6 miles, Atlas is on an entirely different scale, 7 miles across. A true colossus by comparison, dwarfing anything we've ever seen pass through our system from beyond the stars. But size isn't the only thing that sets it apart. ʻOumuamua was small, shiny, and strangely metallic. Borisov was icy and dusty, like the comets we already know. Atlas, however, seems to combine the most mysterious elements of both. Massive, icy, organic-rich, but moving along a trajectory so improbable, it almost seems intentional. So what are we looking at here? If ʻOumuamua was the scout and Borisov the distraction, then what is Atlas? A messenger, a probe, or simply the largest comet we've ever been lucky, or unlucky, enough to see? What scientists discovered next about Atlas' composition only deepened the mystery. When NASA first turned its instruments toward 3I Atlas, the data they gathered was unlike anything they had seen before. This wasn't just another rock drifting aimlessly through the solar system. This was a cosmic time capsule, and the secrets it carried could rewrite what we think we know about interstellar space. Using the infrared telescope facility in Hawaii, astronomers analyzed the light reflecting from Atlas. What they found stunned them. The object is rich in pristine water ice, silicates, and carbon-based molecules. These aren't just scientific curiosities, they're the raw ingredients of life itself. Amino acids, hydrocarbons, compounds that, when arranged under the right conditions, can give rise to biology. And here's the incredible part. The water appears to be chemically untouched. Models suggest it froze more than 7 billion years ago, back when our galaxy was still young and long before Earth, or even our sun came into existence. That means Atlas may be older than our planet, older than our solar system, older than everything we've ever known. Imagine holding a relic, not from ancient human history, but from the dawn of cosmic history itself. That's what Atlas represents. But as extraordinary as its composition is, what truly unsettled scientists was its trajectory. Instead of barreling randomly through space, as we'd expect from an interstellar wanderer, Atlas is on a path that feels almost deliberate. In October of 2025, it will pass just 18 million miles from Mars. Then, in March of 2026, it will sweep a mere 33 million miles above Jupiter's swirling clouds. These distances might sound vast, but in cosmic terms, they are razor-thin margins. A giant 7-mile-wide object just barely skimming 2 major planets? The odds of this happening by pure chance are astonishingly low, about 1 in 20,000. For perspective, think about flipping a coin. If you flip a coin once, the odds of it landing on heads are 50-50. If you flip it 4 times, the odds of getting heads every time are 1 in 16. Now imagine flipping a coin 14 times and getting heads every single time. That's roughly the level of improbability astronomers were staring at. This was no ordinary path, and so NASA made a decision that would take the mystery of Atlas to an entirely new level. They turned to one of the most powerful computational tools on Earth, Google's artificial intelligence systems. Terabytes of orbital data, telescope readings, and mathematical models were fed into the AI. Its task: to simulate millions of possible scenarios and determine whether Atlas' path could be explained by natural forces alone. The results were chilling. The AI confirmed that the odds of Atlas naturally following this orbit were far lower than anyone imagined, less than 1 in 20,000. Practically impossible. To the machine, the trajectory looked less like random chance and more like a planned route, a guided tour through the inner solar system. And then there was one final eerie detail. Atlas will reach its closest point to the Sun on October 29, 2025. On that very day, Earth will be positioned on the opposite side of the Sun, which means just as Atlas comes closest, just when we would want to study it most, it will be completely hidden from us, lost in the blinding glare of our own star. Think about that. Out of all the possible orbits, out of all the possible alignments, Atlas has chosen one that not only brings it close to multiple planets, but also ensures that when it is closest to the Sun and most vulnerable to our observation, it will be invisible to us. Coincidence or design? Scientists are cautious. Many insist that, despite the improbability, nature sometimes produces outcomes that look impossible. But others can't ignore the pattern: the close planetary flybys, the precise solar alignment, the chemical purity, the improbable odds. The evidence is mounting, and it all points to one unsettling possibility. Atlas isn't behaving like a comet. It's behaving like something else. Something that doesn't just wander, something that follows a plan. And that's when attention turned once again to the one astrophysicist unafraid to speak the unspeakable, Avi Loeb. And what he proposed about Atlas would spark one of the most chilling theories in modern astronomy. When an object in space refuses to follow the rules, one name always resurfaces: Avi Loeb, the Harvard astrophysicist who first suggested that our original interstellar visitor, ʻOumuamua, might not have been a natural rock at all, but alien technology. Now, with 3I Atlas, Loeb's warnings are louder than ever. Loeb and his colleagues proposed a disturbing idea. Atlas's enormous 7-mile-wide body might not simply be a natural feature. Instead, it could be camouflage. Beneath its icy shell, a technological heart could be hidden, sensors, instruments, or something far more advanced. In other words, Atlas could be a Trojan horse, a spacecraft disguised as a comet. The evidence is compelling. Its improbable trajectory, its suspicious close passes by multiple planets, and its perfectly timed concealment behind the Sun. All of it begins to look less like chance and more like intent. As Loeb puts it, if the path of Atlas happened by accident, the odds are 1 in 20,000. But if it was designed, the odds are 100%. And then comes the most unsettling layer of all: the dark forest hypothesis. This chilling concept in cosmology suggests that the universe is like a dark forest, filled with silent hunters. Every civilization is both predator and prey. The first rule: never reveal your position, because if you do, you risk attracting the attention of someone more powerful, someone who may not be friendly. In this framework, Atlas wouldn't be a greeting card from the stars. It would be a scout, silently drifting through our solar system, mapping planets, eavesdropping on signals, collecting data, while never revealing its true nature. And then there's the way it moves. Atlas isn't just on a strange trajectory, it's moving against the natural flow of traffic in our solar system, on what astronomers call a retrograde inclination. Why would a comet take the harder path against the grain of every planet and asteroid unless it was heading somewhere specific? Unless it had a mission. Loeb points to its planetary flybys as another clue. A path that conveniently swings near Mars, Venus, and Jupiter would be the most efficient way to survey multiple worlds in a single pass. For nature, the odds are astronomical. For an engineer, it's the obvious choice. And what about the moment it hides behind the sun? That could be the perfect cover, shielding not just itself, but potentially smaller probes that could detach and head toward Earth, invisible to our direct observation. Suddenly, the idea that Atlas is just another comet feels far less certain, because if Loeb is right, then this interstellar visitor isn't simply passing through, it's watching. And when scientists traced back Atlas' journey, what they found raised an even more haunting question. Astronomers wanted to know one thing: when did Atlas actually enter our solar system? By rewinding its orbit through powerful simulations, researchers estimated that the object first crossed into the outer edges of our solar system about 8,000 years ago. At first, that might sound like just another number, but think about what was happening on Earth 8,000 years ago. Human beings were transitioning from hunters and gatherers to builders of the first great civilizations. Mesopotamia was forming. The earliest known city, Jericho, was already standing. And perhaps most importantly, humans had just begun to invent writing, our first attempt to record thoughts, history, and knowledge. So here's the unsettling coincidence. Atlas arrived in our neighborhood at almost the exact same time humanity started to leave a permanent mark on the world. Not just drawings on cave walls, but language, memory, communication that could last for generations. Was this timing purely random? Or could it suggest something deeper? That Atlas' entrance was not just by chance, but timed for when we were ready to notice it. The idea seems almost unthinkable, yet it lingers. If Atlas is natural, then its 8,000-year journey is just a cosmic accident. But if it isn't, could it mean someone, or something, waited until there was intelligent life here to witness its arrival? It's a question with no answer, but the weight of the coincidence is heavy. And for scientists like Avi Loeb, it raises the possibility that Atlas is not just a silent visitor, but a deliberate one. And this isn't the first time an interstellar traveler has forced us to ask the impossible. To understand why Atlas feels so suspicious, we need to return to the object that started it all, ʻOumuamua. When scientists traced Atlas's trajectory backward through the solar system, they made a chilling discovery. By running advanced orbital simulations, they found that this giant interstellar traveler likely entered the outskirts of our solar system nearly 8,000 years ago. At first, that might sound like just a number lost in the vastness of cosmic time. After all, what difference does 8,000 years make when you're talking about an object that may have been drifting through space for billions of years? But here's where the story takes a strange and deeply unsettling turn, because 8,000 years ago, human civilization itself was at a turning point. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans had lived as nomads, hunters, and gatherers. But around this time, everything began to change. In Mesopotamia, along the fertile banks of the Tigris and Euphrates, the first organized settlements began to emerge. Villages turned into towns. Towns became cities. Humanity was on the cusp of something new, the birth of civilization itself. And then came one of the most important inventions in human history: writing. In Sumer, marks on clay tablets were being pressed into symbols, the first cuneiform scripts. These weren't just scratches, they were records. The first contracts, the first myths, the first attempts to capture human thought in a permanent form. For the very first time, our species was not only living in the moment, but leaving a trace of our existence for the future. Now think about this. At nearly the exact same time that humans began to record their presence on Earth, Atlas was quietly drifting into our solar system. Is this nothing more than coincidence? Or could the timing itself mean something? Did Atlas enter just as humanity was becoming visible, as if waiting for us to develop the ability to notice? The more you look at it, the stranger it feels. If Atlas had entered 50,000 years ago, when humans were still painting caves and roaming as nomads, we might never have known it existed. If it had entered 500 years ago, before the dawn of modern astronomy, telescopes wouldn't have been able to detect it. But 8,000 years ago, that's the moment when humanity first raised its voice into history. It's almost poetic. Humanity begins to speak, and the universe sends a visitor. Skeptics argue that coincidences are inevitable when dealing with timescales this vast. A rock wandering into our solar system while humans invent writing might be nothing more than chance. But to others, the overlap is unsettling, because if Atlas isn't just a rock, if it's something else, something with purpose, then perhaps it chose this timing. Perhaps it waited until there was someone here to witness it. And the implications of that are staggering. It would mean that Atlas is not just a traveler, it is a watcher, a silent observer that has been moving slowly inward for millennia, waiting for the moment when we were advanced enough to notice, but still too young to truly understand. This is the kind of eerie synchronicity that keeps astronomers awake at night, because once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. And while most dismiss it as coincidence, the unease remains. But to fully understand why Atlas inspires such suspicion, we have to revisit the first interstellar visitor that shook the scientific community to its core, ʻOumuamua. To understand why 3I Atlas feels so suspicious, we have to go back to the beginning, to the very first confirmed interstellar visitor that ever entered our solar system. On October 19, 2017, astronomers using the Pan-STARRS telescope in Hawaii spotted something unusual, a faint streak of light moving far too fast to belong to any object bound to our sun. Its speed alone told scientists one shocking truth: this object wasn't from here. It had come from the deep void between the stars. They named it ʻOumuamua, a Hawaiian word meaning scout. At first, scientists thought it was just another comet, but within weeks, everything they thought they knew unraveled. ʻOumuamua's shape was unlike anything ever seen. By measuring the way its brightness changed as it tumbled through space, astronomers concluded it was at least 10 times longer than it was wide, something like a giant cigar, or perhaps a flat disc-like shard. No natural process we know of creates shapes like this. But the real shock came when ʻOumuamua slingshotted around the sun. Instead of following the exact path predicted by gravity, it began to accelerate, as if pushed by an invisible hand. Normally, comets accelerate because jets of gas and dust erupt as their ice heats up near the sun. But every telescope aimed at ʻOumuamua reported the same thing: no coma, no gas, no tail, no dust, nothing. It was accelerating without any visible cause. This left scientists with two uncomfortable options. Either there was a completely new type of comet, one we'd never seen before, or this object wasn't natural at all. Some proposed exotic ideas. Maybe it was made of solid hydrogen ice that evaporated invisibly, pushing it forward. Others suggested it could be a fragment of nitrogen ice from a shattered exoplanet. But none of these theories fully explained its behavior. And then came the boldest hypothesis of all, from Avi Loeb. He suggested that the simplest explanation was that ʻOumuamua wasn't a rock at all, but technology. Perhaps a solar sail, a thin reflective structure designed to ride the pressure of starlight, drifting between star systems like a message in a bottle. Loeb's idea was controversial, even ridiculed by many, but the facts spoke for themselves. An elongated shape, a high reflectivity, no gas, no dust, unexplained acceleration. If this wasn't natural, then it might have been the first alien artifact ever detected by humanity. And here's where the comparison to Atlas becomes chilling. Because while ʻOumuamua was bizarrely small, just 0.2 miles long, Atlas is enormous, 7 miles wide. While ʻOumuamua gave us no chance to study it, it raced out of sight in just 40 days. Atlas is moving slowly enough for us to track for years. And while ʻOumuamua accelerated mysteriously with no visible cause, Atlas is taking a path so improbably precise that even Google's AI flagged it as unnatural. Think about that for a moment. The first interstellar visitor looked like technology. The third interstellar visitor is behaving like technology. Two different objects separated by years, yet both refusing to play by the rules of physics as we understand them. If Atlas is truly just another comet, then why does its trajectory look engineered? And if ʻOumuamua was natural, then why did it accelerate like a spacecraft? The questions only multiply, and the deeper we look, the more it seems that these visitors are not anomalies, but clues, pieces of a puzzle we've only just begun to assemble. Because if ʻOumuamua was the scout, then what does that make Atlas? And more importantly, what comes next? At this point, the story of interstellar visitors begins to feel less like a collection of coincidences and more like a pattern. Let's lay it out clearly. In 2017, ʻOumuamua arrives, a bizarre, elongated object accelerating without a visible engine. In 2019, Borisov appears, a more ordinary comet but still interstellar, reminding us these objects do exist. And now, 3I Atlas, a massive 7-mile-wide traveler carrying pristine water and organics, yet moving on a trajectory so statistically impossible that an AI labeled it designed. One looks like technology, one looks like camouflage. Both refuse to behave like anything we've ever seen. So here's the haunting question. Are these visitors random chunks of rock? Or are we witnessing the opening moves of something far greater? Astronomers often say, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And so far, the evidence is circumstantial. But think about it. Two of the first 3 interstellar objects we've ever detected both break the rules of physics. That's not just unusual, that's unprecedented. It forces us to ask, are we simply unlucky stumbling on the weirdest, most improbable examples right away? Or is there a deeper truth here? Projects like Project Lyra are already being designed to answer this question. The plan? Launch a high-speed probe, fast enough to chase down the next interstellar visitor and intercept it. A mission like this could finally give us close-up images, hard data, and maybe even proof that we're not alone. But that mission, if it ever happens, is still decades away. In the meantime, we're left with only our telescopes, our models, and our questions. And the questions are multiplying. If Atlas is natural, why does it swing past multiple planets in a tour-like orbit? If it's just coincidence, why does its closest approach hide it perfectly behind the sun? If ʻOumuamua was only a rock, why did it accelerate without fuel, dust, or jets? It's as if the universe has handed us a puzzle, and we're too afraid to put the pieces together. Some scientists argue we're missing the obvious, that these objects are simply outliers, rare, but natural. Others whisper that we're seeing intentional design, but we're unwilling to admit it. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The data doesn't care what we believe. The data is telling a story, one that points to something we don't yet understand. And that's the most dangerous and exciting possibility of all. Because if these are not coincidences, then what are they? And if they are part of a pattern, where does that pattern lead? The answers remain hidden in the darkness of space. But what's clear is this: the mystery is only deepening, and the visitors may not be finished with us yet. So, here we are, standing at the edge of a mystery that refuses to stay quiet. Humanity has now witnessed not one but 3 visitors from beyond our solar system. Each one has left us with more questions than answers. Think about it. In the vast history of astronomy, we've only just begun to see interstellar objects. And yet, the very first one, ʻOumuamua, broke every rule, shaped unlike anything we've ever seen, accelerating without fuel, behaving more like a piece of technology than a rock. The second Borisov reminded us of what we expected: a classic comet, icy, dusty, ordinary. But the third, Atlas, is something else entirely. It is enormous, 7 miles wide, a true giant among interstellar travelers. It is ancient, carrying water and molecules frozen long before our planet even existed. And it is suspicious, moving on a path so improbable, so precise, that even artificial intelligence flagged it as unnatural. Some say these are coincidences, just cosmic accidents, rocks tossed our way by the chaos of the galaxy. But others can't shake the feeling that there's something deliberate here, that the timing, the paths, the anomalies are too perfect to ignore. And here's where the reflection turns personal. For centuries, we've gazed at the night sky, asking if we are alone. We've built telescopes, sent probes, scanned radio signals, all in search of a whisper from the stars. But what if we've been looking in the wrong direction? What if the message didn't come as a signal at all, but as a visitor, silent, disguised, slipping past us in plain sight? Because if Atlas is just a comet, then we can breathe easy. It will swing past the sun, vanish into the void, and we will file it away as another scientific curiosity. But if it isn't, if it is something more, then the implications are staggering. It would mean we are not alone, and worse, it would mean we have already been noticed. And that leads us to the most unsettling question of all. What happens if one day one of these interstellar travelers doesn't just pass through? What if it stops? What if it turns? What if the next one doesn't leave? Right now, we don't have the answers. We don't have the technology to chase Atlas. We don't have the data to prove or disprove the theories. All we have are fragments, coincidences, anomalies, mysteries wrapped in shadows. But here's the truth. The universe doesn't make mistakes. Everything has a reason. And maybe, just maybe, Atlas is part of a story much larger than ourselves. So the question remains, are we brave enough to face it? Because one day soon, the darkness between the stars may reveal its secrets. And when it does, the real story, the one we've been waiting for, will begin. By the way, very soon, I'll be sharing the best telescopes and space gear so you can explore the universe yourself. Stay tuned.